How to become a master communicator. Communication in today's social media centered world has become an absolute nightmare. Have you ever found yourself at a business event or a social gathering where you so badly want to approach somebody and talk to them, but just didn't know where to start or how to do it? Some of the biggest fears are centered around coming across the wrong way, being labeled a creep, coming across as boring, or simply not knowing what to say when you approach somebody. These lessons can be geared toward a romantic partner, someone that you would like to do business with, or just in casual conversations with family and friends. As always, if you find this information insightful or valuable in any way, make sure to hit the like and the subscribe button below. It helps us continue to provide valuable content to you, the viewer. In this video, we're going to walk through the 3 stages of a conversation and equip you with the tools to have a successful conversation with anyone. We're in a situation where we'd like to connect with a stranger and tell ourselves, okay, we're finally going to do it. How can we ensure that we are giving ourselves the best chance to have a successful interaction? Aligning our energy and our mood to our conversational partner is step 1 to having a successful conversation with anybody. It is critical for your audience to hear your emotions, even when the specific emotions aren't being spoken out loud. Psychologists refer to showing your emotions rather than describing them as non-linguistic emotional expressions. This is how we express our emotions in the real world. Rarely are our emotions spoken out loud and put into words. And the key to doing this and understanding somebody's emotions, reading nonverbal channels, tone of voice, gestures, and facial expressions. Even before we learn how to speak, we absorb how to infer people's emotions from their behaviors, their body language, their vocal inflections, glances and grimaces, sighs and laughs. As we grow older, this skill starts to weaken. We start to pay more attention to what people say rather than how they are saying it, rather than what they do, to the point where we completely miss these non-linguistic clues, completely missing the fact that somebody may be upset with crossed arms, a creased brow, and downcast eyes, and instead we focus on their words. The good news, years of research tells us that learning emotional intelligence and picking up on these clues are skills that can be developed. One way to develop these skills is through the matching principle, which says that we communicate by aligning our behaviors until our brains become aligned, proving that we genuinely want to understand each other. If you laugh loudly and I merely chuckle, it won't feel like I want to bond. It will feel like I'm uninterested or patronizing. What matters isn't speaking and acting alike, but rather matching one another in ways that convey that we want to align. So how can we actually signal to others that we are actually trying to connect? We are all equipped with a system that has evolved within our brain, a method for gauging others' emotional temperature that we usually rely upon without consciously knowing it. This system is referred to as valence and comes alive whenever we encounter another person, and it functions by pushing us to pay attention to their mood and their energy. For example, when we see someone and they exhibit an emotional behavior like a laugh, a scowl, or a smile, the first thing that we usually notice is their mood. Is this person feeling positive or negative? And their energy level. Is it high or is it low? If we encounter someone who is frowning, a negative clue, and quiet, a low energy clue, you might assume that they're sad or frustrated, but you won't assume that they pose a threat, and your brain won't issue warnings to flee. There was a study that analyzed conversations and how well conversational partners were able to align. What they found was that when conversation partners laughed together, their mood and energy almost always matched. If one person chuckled, a positive, low energy clue, and their companion laughed in a similar way, they felt aligned. When the participants were not connecting, when one person was laughing and the other one was merely playing along, you could tell because if they sounded similar, their mood and energy levels didn't match. We exhibit emotional intelligence by showing people that we've heard their emotions. The way we do is by noticing, then matching their energy and their mood. Mood and energy are the non-linguistic clues for creating emotional connection. This same pattern applies to non-verbal clues clues as well. When we're crying or smiling or scowling, we believe that others hear us when they respond with a similar mood and energy. They don't need to cry with us, but they need to match our energy and mood. This is what makes us feel like they understand what we're feeling. This is how you can become a master at communicating. Pay attention to whether someone's posture indicates they are feeling down or if they're so excited that they can hardly contain it. So if we allow ourselves to match that energy and mood, or at least acknowledge it, it makes it clear that we are trying to align. We can make it obvious that we are trying to connect. Okay, now that we understand how to show someone that we are trying to connect with them, how can we actually get a conversation going and help it flow naturally? Conversation starters. Does the thought of starting a conversation with a stranger make you anxious and nervous? If talking to strangers doesn't come naturally to you, you can teach yourself to start a conversation with anybody. Learning how to have a great conversation with someone will help you make new professional connections, find new clients, and help you feel more comfortable in social situations. To succeed, you can't always depend on others to make the first move. Eventually, we must hone in on our social skills and make the first move ourselves. This can feel like a daunting task for those of us who have never done this before. But don't worry, here are 5 tricks to help you get started and get more comfortable with this. Trick number 1, simply introduce yourself. Very simple and straightforward, but at the beginning of any conversation between two people, what are we? Well, strangers, of course. And what was everyone taught when they were kids about strangers? Well, to be cautious when one approaches you. This is the easiest way to shorten the divide and release the most tension between conversational partners. Start here. Trick number 2, ask others about themselves. The number 1 rule of sales is simply to ask other people about themselves. There is not one other subject that somebody else is more knowledgeable about or more passionate about talking about. This can be as easy as asking somebody what their favorite part about living in a certain area is, or what they love about working at a certain company. Super straightforward, very easy to come up with a good question. For more advice on how to avoid dead-end questions, check out my video at the end of this one, and I'll put the link in there for you. Trick number 3, project positivity. Giving out compliments can be a little bit awkward at first if it's not something that you're used to doing, but what better way to start a conversation than by making somebody feel good about themselves? Compliments can come in the form of the energy that somebody is exuding or something that they're wearing. If you're at a business conference and want to build a relationship with someone, simply tell them that you like their outfit and that they come across as very professional. Boom. Conversation started. Trick number 4, ask for advice. This is a great way to show someone that you respect their opinion and that you trust their expertise by including them in your thought process. If you're at a sales conference, you can start with asking somebody how you should prepare your presentation and then slowly work up to more career-oriented questions centered around career development with questions like, what advice do you have to young workers that are entering the industry? If you're in a social setting, and the group is discussing where they went to dinner before the group got together, ask your potential conversational partner for recommendations to their favorite restaurants around town. Boom. Conversation started. Trick number 5, wear a peacock piece. This is an article of clothing or some type of accessory that draws attention and prompts discussion. For me, my peacock piece is my mustache. I cannot tell you how many times I've started with introducing myself to someone and the conversation instantly goes to my mustache. Super silly, but easy way to get a conversation started. Once I receive a comment on my mustache, it's very easy to pick fun at myself and tell a joke about how my girlfriend initially thought that it was a little bit creepy, but now she actually kind of likes it. Side note, lightly making fun of yourself is a great way to show humility in a conversation. All right, if you have stuck with us throughout this point, you've learned how to match your conversational partner's energy and mood and have the tools to now start any great conversation. Let's finish this off by talking about the 3 tips to keep a conversation rolling once we have aligned and started the conversation. Tip number 1, ask plenty of questions. Approaching any conversation with an open mind and curiosity will put you in the right headspace to ask the right questions. As mentioned previously, open-ended questions are perfect for this tip. If you often find yourself without valuable responses in a conversation, keep a conversation rolling by shooting your partner a question that gets them to continue the conversation. Tip number 2, be on the lookout for conversational side doors. Conversational side doors are opportunities that branch off from the main topic that you uncover once a conversation starts to flow. If you are talking to somebody in a professional setting and they mention that they recently saw a concert at the Red Rocks music venue in Colorado, a question off of the main topic of business could be, what are your favorite music genres and do you have any artist recommendations in that space? The reason why this is such a great side door is that it opens many different directions for the conversation to go. And the next time you see that person, you can approach them with the feedback regarding the music recommendation that they gave, and bam, you have yourself a conversation starter for the next time that you see them. Tip number 3, focus on shared interests. Once a conversation starts, listening is crucial to continuing any topic of conversation. Be on the lookout for topics that you and your partner align with and dive deeper into particular areas that you may have insightful feedback on. If we're talking to somebody on a business trip and they mention that they need to get back to their room at a certain time to watch their favorite NFL team play, and you yourself are a fan of NFL football, that is a great time to slow the conversation down and dive deeper on that certain subject that you may have some insightful information to add to the conversation or keep it flowing. With so much of our lives being lived behind screens, developing conversational skills are a major key to setting yourself apart from the crowd. Develop these skills and transform yourself from your shy nature into a social mastermind. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and let me know down in the comments what you think. At what stage in a conversation are you struggling with? For me, getting a conversation to flow naturally is where I kind of start to hit walls. Let me know down in the comments. And thank you again so much for watching, and see you again next week.